Hi there, and welcome to the Tammy Tuckey Show. My name is Tammy Tuckey, and it's good to see you. So back in June, Universal Studios Orlando announced that a new addition to Epic Universe, the theme park, would be opening in 2025 called Dark Universe, which is the world of Universal's most legendary monsters, with rumors that the creature from the Black Lagoon may be featured. Now, we've been working on putting together this reunion tonight for a few months now, actually a few years. Matt and I were talking about this since 2019. So the fact that this announcement comes around the same time of our chat tonight is very mysterious. So we have a little mysterious theme going on. So before Dark Universe, on July 1st, 2009, back in Universal Studios Hollywood, a new campy rock musical debuted. And tonight we're going to be celebrating with some of the cast and crew and celebrating 15 years of A Creature from the Black Lagoon, the musical. Let's take a look at the trailer. Okay, so that's just a little taste of what we're going to be talking about this evening. I'm so excited. Let's bring on 4 cast members and crew members from the show. They're all going to introduce themselves to you. Hello, everybody, and we'll start with Andi. Andi, tell us your name, your full name, and what role you got to play.
Although I wanted to be Creature, I was Kay, and my name's Andi Gibson.
And next up, Fred.
1 second, I'm hearing twice. That's why I'm delaying. I'm still hearing Andi talk. Hi, I was the one of the composer lyricists.
And Keith?
Hi, my name is Keith Parks. I was actually one of the, I guess, shipmates I've been several roles. I was a chef for a while too, and then
yes,
I got killed several times in the musical.
You made great shrimp.
I did.
And James.
Hey, I'm James Royce Edwards, and I was one of the creatures.
Welcome, guys. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I remember I was telling Matt off air, I just said to him, I found this video of the show. I didn't know what it was. I had never seen the movie before. And I was like, okay, I'll just watch this. And I was like, what is this? And I loved it. You know what I mean? It was just an unusual piece I've never heard about before. And it was just something that I think Universal, it sounded like they took a chance on, because they used to do the Bill and Ted show for the Halloween nights, which was very raunchy. I loved those when they did them. So this was kind of like its own little thing. I feel like getting its own vibe from that. So I'm just curious, Fred, you kind of really, this was your baby, it sounded like, from what we were discussing. So why don't you kind of take us through how this was pitched and the beginning stages of this musical?
Well, the beginning started in as far back as like March 2008. And we were originally contacted by one of the producers, because you understand the production was half Universal and half a production company in New York that does Broadway shows. And so Gerard Alessandrini, who had collaborated with me on Forbidden Broadway for years and years in New York, he and I were both contracted to write this thing for Universal. And but everything after that went unlike what we were expecting. So I remember that one of the first things, we were suddenly on like 24 hours notice, put on a plane to Los Angeles to have a meeting with the Universal people. And then we were flown back the same day. And I'll never forget that meeting as long as I live. It was catastrophic.
Oh my God, we need the details, Fred.
I've never heard this stuff. I want to hear it.
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, we were told a couple things. Like we said, okay, there's a budget of Sorry, hearing echoes. The budget, we were told, is $13 million. And we were given a couple ground rules. It's like a 25-minute musical, a rock musical, and that they gave us very strong instructions that the demographics of the park in LA, the Universal theme park, were 60% young Latino, and that what we wrote had to reflect that or somehow embrace that. So we were given all these rules and regulations, sort of what it was supposed to be, none of which proved to be the case. And you could not have told me, if you told me in May 2008 that in July 2009 we'd still be in the formative stages. I forget when you guys went into rehearsal, but I think you were cast in like, I don't know, April 2009, like a whole year later. So, and I think I wrote maybe 12 songs and four.
Oh, wow.
The show only had 4 songs, 2 of which were mine. So it was just one of these, one of these crazy things. I was very proud of what I did because I was instructed to write in this rock vein that was not my home turf. But I think the one I was most proud of was the opening number, I think. And
that gets stuck in your
called
head.
Like the title song called The Black Lagoon. And the other thing I was proud of is that I had come up with, and I came up with a lot of ideas to script the show based on what they told me, like the Latino demographic and all of that. So I said the first thing we should do is turn the captain of the boat, because there's this captain, turn her into a woman. Make her a woman captain who will be our narrator and our greet the audience and the cast and sort of run the show. Musical theater has to have a strong lady up front. And I thought, wouldn't that be great? And I was sure they'd hate it because the Universal people, I called them the carnies, if you'll pardon the expression. Because keep in mind, the theme park was not run in LA. It is run from Florida with men in shorts and gold chains and that whole thing. And so I had to sort of introduce them to musical theater ideas, which I thought was why we were hired. But they did accept changing the captain into a woman, which I was very thrilled about because she turned into this odd, bizarre character. We did get flack in later years. I recently saw an hour-long commentary on this show by someone online on YouTube talking about the un-PC aspects of the show, which are horrifying in retrospect.
Mm-hmm.
But we had to do what we were told. I mean, so we had to have 2 Latino, Black, ethnic, like ensemble people who would play 4 roles apiece, and they would both be victims. So I guess that's you, Keith.
That was me, yes.
And I was like, really? We're just going to chew them up and have, like, that's what we're doing with the 2 Latino Black ensemble members? So here's the thing, Keith. You never knew this. But my other contribution was this, which I thought was going to be great. I said, listen, we'll twist the plot around. Instead of that boring white guy who's one of the leading men, being the hero who saves the day at the end, theoretically, like the movie. I said, you know what? They'll treat the two employees like shit for the whole show, but it's one of them who will turn out to be the hero. He will step up. He will kill the monster. He will save the girl. He will do all that good stuff. And he will be the hero. And the 60% Latino demographic of the park will be thrilled. They hated that idea. They hated it.
Oh.
And it's too bad because I think it would have been great.
Well, the thing was
I
that we
also strongly advised against having the creature eat the girl at the end. Andy, did you get eaten at the end?
Spoilers.
Oh yeah. So he got giant. And
Yeah,
then we were singing a duet, and it's like we're gonna kiss, even though his mouth was like the size of my body. And then he opens his mouth, and I have to go in, and it was like a slide. Eats me.
And you disappeared, and that was the end of you?
Well, then in the finale, I came out in this amazing, like, female mermaid kind of fabulous samba skirt costume, which was like my reincarnation, or I don't know what. To this
There it
day,
is.
thank you, honey. To this day, that is the most glorious costume I think I've ever worn in my life. You can't
Pretty
see
good.
it, but there are jewels on the fingernails of those
Who's
gloves.
that little kid?
That is my
That's
son
his
when he
little
was
one.
2.
Royce?
Yeah.
Yes,
James,
and
that's
his
your
face
son?
paint.
That is my kiddo, and he's 16, almost 17 now in a few weeks.
Oh my
And,
God.
He would go and get his face painted outside.
Can you believe it's
And the show is totally appropriate for a 2-year-old. He loved it. Dad was rock screaming and killing people on stage, and it was awesome. And it was kind of like, I realized it was a little jaded when he would ask, "Hey, Dad, can we go to the park today?" And he wasn't talking about like a playground with grass and other kids. He was talking about like Universal Studios. So yeah, that was his year 2, but it's friggin' adorable, and I whip that out anytime he goes on a date with a girl. I'm like, hey.
Well, I remember when I because I had left the show before it went into production, just before you guys went into rehearsal. It was a couple months before I finally saw the show. And I said, my mother.
You mean the fifth version of the show?
I said, we have to go see The Creature from the Black Lagoon and see what this thing turned out to be.
Yes.
And couple things I noticed. One is the show was a bomb. I mean, it got terrible reviews and terrible notices, and word of mouth around town was just really bad. And
that had nothing to do with the cast.
No. You were all like crazy,
That's
great
right.
people.
We
Crazy,
did everything we could.
I mean, you were the best in LA. And I have some remarks about the casting because it was really amazing. But I noticed right away, we were there to find the show and we couldn't find it. That's the only reason we were at the park. Let's go see Creature from the Black Lagoon. We couldn't find it. It was like buried in the very back of the whole park with no signage. It's almost like they buried it. Like they knew.
Because this was the original signage they had outside.
Yeah.
Prior to it opening.
Right. It was, ads all over the place and online. But once, this was maybe 2 months after it opened, when I found myself in front of we had to go ask people to find where is Creature in the Black Lagoon. But James, then what I was going to say is that once I saw the show, I couldn't believe it was packed. And behind my mother and me was like all these families with little kids. Oh, yeah. And they all recited every word of it along with the show. They had obviously seen it 5 times and recited the entire thing with the actors. And the only reason I was a little embarrassed, this goes back to the writing of the show, is because the producer person who was in charge of this whole project insisted that the show be absolutely 100% full of TNA and dick jokes over my dead body, but it's nothing I could do. And so I'm thinking, what is the audience for this thing? Like dick jokes? Really? Because the lyrics, it kept jamming full of like off-color stuff. And I thought, and all these little kids behind me are reciting
it's sounding like jokes. What Bill and Ted was, but that was like for the horror Halloween nights, you know what I mean? So it had an audience. So this was just, I guess it was put out in the wrong time. Like it should have been maybe just like a special show for that. Maybe, I don't know.
A $13 million Halloween special.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keith,
remember-
do you remember your audition? I was just curious, what the audition process was like for all of you, but I'd love to start with Keith if that's okay.
Yeah, there, and it's kind of funny. I kind of joke because I was like, I'm not sure I was supposed to be actually in the show. I think I was like a second alternate possibly because, I mean, I don't know what it was, but there was a very interesting process. So there was 2 different auditions, and we went in, we danced first, and then we came back out, and then they had escorts that would walk us back and forth to, like, certain rooms, and then we went
Keith,
back and made a scene.
I actually have in my papers, I have pages and pages of maps that they drew and made and published for everybody. Maps of the entire building and where to go to wait and where to fill out your security forms and where, like, you had to do 10 things before you even walked in to sing.
Yeah, it was a lot. There was, like I said, and Julia Flores was the casting director, I believe, on this project. And so I'd worked with her before on something else, but like I went in and sang, and then after the dance call, and it just was it was a long process actually. And a lot of the things when you sign up for these jobs, you don't know exactly what it's going to, because there wasn't a lot of information as to what was actually going to be happening. But had I known, it was like, oh, you'll be shirtless. Like, and I was like, what? Like, we're going through like a whole, like, you know what I mean? Like, so, the things you learn about the audition. But like I said, I was just like, I had no clue. But it was, I think there was at least a couple auditions that we went to before we were cast. And then I think we, were gone for a while. And then also we didn't get called back until after the process of them, workshopping it. So it was months, until they brought us in towards the end. To actually start learning the show. But you guys, I think James, you were part of the workshop.
No, that was Matt and Sandra.
Was that Matt?
That's right.
And,
I
remember they had like the work.
that.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you because I saw whole kinds of stuff in my papers about the workshop. Was I involved in that?
I wasn't, so I'm not sure.
The thing that I want to add to Keith, like what you were saying to the audition process, did you have to go to that crazy flying audition?
No.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Yes.
You did. Okay. You had to do it. Like, it was nuts. We had to go to this other studio where they just fly people. And I don't know. It was flying by Foy. And you had to strap into the harness. Most people had not flown before. And then they're just like sending you back and forth on a wire. And if you haven't like flown before and tried to do flips, but that wasn't it. They had you singing like whatever your audition song was as loud and as high as you possibly could while flipping and spinning and dropping you down. And it was fun, but it was the craziest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't think we had to do that.
We had to sign releases, and it was like, no, do it again. No, this time take it up. And like I swear Lynn Taylor Court was there, like, okay, now let's take it up like half a step. And you're like, okay. It was crazy.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, Lynn.
I don't think ours was that intense. I just remember being strapped into that really uncomfortable harness and like, you know what I mean? Trying to like do maneuver and like, it's like, what am I doing? Like I wasn't trying to be the black creature. Like it was like, they were going to hire, you know what I mean? That wasn't I wasn't.
No one was going to see your skin color anyway.
We were green. I had green on my face.
Under everything. God.
Well, I have some behind the scenes photos Matt sent over from you guys working together. So this kind of looks like it's at the beginning of when everybody was learning the show.
Shop thing. Yes. I think that's workshop time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put this up on full screen so we could see it a little bit better, a little bit clearer. But it looks like you guys were kind of like in one of those, rehearsal rooms and
Marie, hey.
And Mark Oka.
We didn't. Yeah. So is Mark's on the left, right? Or Mark's on the right?
Mark is on the right with the spear gun. Jay Tapowan, who I went to junior high and high school with, is on the left with Marie Kelly.
I love that picture.
That's cute.
Marie's lost a lot of weight since then. She looks great now.
She couldn't join us tonight, but she says hello, and she was the captain of the ship, Rita, and this was the crew. And here is the ship. God. Here is the Rita. I heard that this caused a lot of problems.
You know, they had it was just a forklift underneath there.
Really?
Drove around, and that's why it was such an issue trying to fly that thing.
Jeez.
I heard
Wasn't
about
it?
this boat for about a year before, you
Oh,
know, because
honey,
they were
it was
talking
the bane.
about it constantly.
No, it was the bane of the whole
That
show,
boat cost about $3 million.
What?
which is ridiculous.
Whoa.
The coolest part was that for this, you know, the big underwater scene, right? The famous scene where she sees the creature and they officially meet right underwater. The coolest part in the show was that the boat flew up and then she flies off. And so this whole sky is then the water scene. But they did not work that through before they designed what this boat was, that it needed to fly in the air. Because, I mean, how many times, you guys? Like 75% of the time we had to cut a show or cancel a show, or we had to e-stop because it was run. There was not a technical director, okay? The most technical show I've ever been in my life did not have a technical director. It had a computer, and all the computer could do was emergency stop.
Exactly. Then they had to reset the whole thing.
There was no way to like put it down and continue the show. Like it
was a roller coaster.
Had was it would do the whole track, and that's all it could do. So all you could do was emergency stop. I remember there was a time Katrina was going up and her harness was going crooked. I don't know if you guys can see me. So one side was going like this, and she's starting to go sideways and sideways and sideways because the other side of her harness was not pulling. It was all slack. So she's going up in the air completely sideways, and they had to stop the show and clear everybody out. And she had to hang like that for another like 30 minutes before they could actually get her ass down.
Oh my gosh.
Just in the back shaking our heads like, what is happening?
It was either the boat or the flight system, that like stopped a good 50 to 60% of the shows.
I just got shingles because you said flight system.
Well, somebody posted a video clip of the boat stop, and it was just so awkward. I was like, I'm not even going to show that on here because it literally like nobody moves, and they just get off the boat and don't say a single thing.
Yes, you know why? You know why? And we talked to them so many times. They turned our mics off. And we would ask them so many times, you guys, if you leave our microphones off, at least we can improv with the audience and not make it so awkward. There was a time I had to swim back to the boat, okay? Swim back to the boat. The thing stopped. The apparatus stopped when I still had about 2 feet to the boat. So I'm swimming, honey. We're Katie Ledecky up in here. And I'm just swimming, and I was like ready. I totally would have ad-libbed and thrown in jokes and made it fun, but they turned our mics off every single time. So then I just had to stop and hang there until somebody could save me. It was so awkward.
So awkward.
Now you all, Andi, you all sang live?
Oh,
yes.
Okay, because I remember there was like 6 months of discussion as to whether that would be the case or not. Because the arranger,
there were a lot of sweeteners in that number because they did have us flipping and stuff while we were singing.
Right.
But
and I'm very sorry. I'll tell you one quick thing, which Tammy knows, is I'm very sorry, Andi, that you did not get to sing the song I wrote for you on that spot. And
I'm available to sing that anytime, Fred.
Well, we'll trade information, because the thing is, right from the beginning, like literally the day after the first meeting, a year and a half before, having gotten all the information, the head guy, who will remain nameless, was insistent about this song that Kay would sing when it's an iconic image from the movie, from the original movie, when the creature sees her from below swimming, and he wanted a song there. And the gimmick of the song was going to be that she's dissatisfied with her leading man. The guy, the scientist on the boat, and he's into his rocks and his samples and his test tubes, and he's not paying much attention to her because this guy was a very primitive sexist. So I came up with what I thought was an idea. I wrote a song called "There Are Other Fish in the Sea,"
Love it.
and I thought, great, Kay will get pissed off at this
Perfect.
guy, and she'll be on, because I thought she needs a reason to get in the water, which only only a fool does in a horror movie. Yeah, I think they get in the water. It's like walking into a ghost house. So I said she'll get so annoyed with him that she'll like, I'm going swimming, I'm off this boat. And I wrote this song called There Are Other Fish in the Sea. And I thought it was pretty good. And I think I was not the only one, because everyone who heard it loved it and laughed. It had some good jokes. And we made a great demo of it with Meatloaf's lead singer, Patty Russo. Great arrangement. And it was in the show for at least 11 months. It was never up for discussion. And actually, it's one of the reasons I thought I had to leave, because I thought, first of all, I had another job to get to. And I thought, if they haven't committed to any songs 11 months in, I don't think another 11 minutes or weeks or days or months, I don't think they're going to commit anymore. No matter how long I stay. So unfortunately, my worst fear is to realize, which is they replaced the song at the last minute with one that I believe that the arranger wrote called Slay Me. And I never would have written that, because I thought it was in poor taste. I just thought that, you don't really want to go there, like beat me up or like kill me. That's literally not a very nice sentiment. And I didn't think it would get her off the boat and out swimming and all of that. And so anyway, I'll send it to you at some point. I'll send you
That's so disappointing. I
did send it to Katrina Lenk, who was an old friend of mine from after the show, but I sent it to her and I told her, I just so regret you didn't get to sing this song instead of that one, Hanging from the Ceiling.
Right. Well, and I always laughed when the show she did right after, because she moved to New York, was Spider-Man on Broadway.
I know, and she
couldn't have possibly done anything even more technical than our show except that.
Right.
Yes. And I was like, oh my God. I prayed for her nightly for her safety.
Oh my gosh.
And
so what did you I was just curious what vibes you got from the audience, because Fred, you had the encounter with everybody actually knowing the lyrics and
all these little kids.
And some of the videos I saw posted 15 years ago were from big fans. Like, they're singing along. I can hear them singing along and going, woo. So as a cast, what were your reaction? Like, what were the reactions that you got while you were doing the shows?
Honestly, okay, I'll just jump in because nobody else just jumped in. The biggest sense I got is that every time we stopped, they wanted the show to continue. They really, really, really wanted to keep going. Right. And we even talked to the management, like, let's just cut this and just do it without this. And like, they want to do it. Like, we tried to come up with contingency plans. Nope. It was like, boop.
You mean if something went wrong?
And that's it.
If something went wrong, they stopped the entire show, and then it was just pure awkwardness.
And that was it.
With people sitting in the seats. I've been waiting in line for an hour to see this. Now I'm going to do this 25-minute show. Right. Hey, this is visually pretty freaking cool. And like, then they're just sitting there. The lights come up. They have no idea what to do. Right. And it's a generic. It's not even like a cool, like, hey guys, we're so sorry. Like a live announcement. It was like, please exit the theater. And you're just like, oh my gosh. It was terrible. That was terrible. How often
did this happen?
Almost daily.
I mean, absolutely daily. Absolutely.
I have a more basic question. How many shows a week did you do?
Multiple shows a day.
A week?
How many shows a week were you doing?
Maybe 3.
Yeah.
What? Wait, how many shows a week? No. I mean, the cast in general, we all broke it up. But
because there were 3 casts.
So we had it
4 or
was
5 shows a day.
6 shows a day on our schedule, right?
Yeah.
Whoa.
So there's a changeover. So there'd be like, we do like 3, and then the other cast would come in while we were finishing up our last show, and then they would switch over.
So there were like 8 or something. But I don't think any one cast. Like, it was a huge celebration in the dressing room if any one cast actually made it all the way through all of their scheduled shows.
Oh, that made me sad. That makes me sad.
Yeah, right?
No, like there were 2 of us creatures who there was one creature who almost never showed up. And so 2 of us really took the burden of doing all of the other shows. So there was rarely rarely a time I didn't do 4 or 5 shows in a day.
Wow.
Like, rarely.
Jeez.
That's a lot of rock singing.
You guys are singing,
Yeah.
and those songs are just so
It was
powerful
the
and
50-pound
high.
shoes.
It was a 50-pound shoes. That's all right.
Shoes
You know,
were the
whatever.
big
I didn't
problem.
mind that. It's literally, you get into the costume, the creature costume,
And that's
and
it.
put this paint on, like Elva, but that's nothing. This was stuff that was, they didn't even warn me
Right.
about this, but it was like, I don't know if it was like house paint or what. They put it on your face. It did not come off. It had this thick shell because you couldn't sweat it off. Then they do all this glitter and gold, and it was amazingly cool. Never came off my face. And then I got this crazy allergic reaction from
I was
the
wondering
rubber
if it was
mask.
toxic.
It was right against
I
my skin.
remember.
Oh, it was just terrible. But the worst thing is once you get in it and you harness up and you have to cinch that sucker within it, just so tight. I completely lost feeling in 2 sections of my hip. Couldn't,
Me
and it
too.
was years until I could finally feel that again on my hips.
Wow.
So that was kind of the roughest part.
I had
And,
spots.
yeah.
I had spots on my pelvis, in the front of my pelvis,
Yeah.
that the skin was completely different because they had bruised and they had kind of calloused over, and then it had no
Oh.
feeling. Those spots had no feeling for
I mean,
years.
I've spoken to people who have done Peter Pan, and so there are certain occupational hazards with flying by foy. I don't know who did this, or if they were doing it right, or if they were up to standard, up to spec, you know. But I was going to tell you one thing about your casting, stuff you never knew, which you'd like to hear.
I love all of this stuff.
Yeah, well,
wait, let me get my popcorn.
I'll tell it as fast as I can. Just a little perspective on, because I know what you were looking at. And then nobody knows what I was looking at. And the thing is, I come from the world of the legitimate theater.
Right.
And, you know, us, like Lynn Taylor Corbett and me and Gerard, we were like the 3 Broadway New York people. The rest of the team were the Carneys from Florida. And then some LA, and there was this wall of people you auditioned for, as I recall. There were like 20 people behind the table. And the problem with the whole show, in a way, was emblematic in the casting. And that's why I bring it up, because they had never done a musical before. And the whole purpose of this entire show was to compete with Disney, which was doing little mini musicals at Disneyland and Disney World. And Universal thought, oh, well, we want to do mini musicals. So for some reason, they picked this property. I think it's because the lead guy, who shall remain nameless, had this unusual fascination with this creature movie and the girl and the whole thing. I mean, I won't even go into what some of the things that were said in the meetings, but so he was fascinated by it. But the thing is, they had never done a musical before, and you know what happens when you spend $13 million on something you've never done before? You're terrified. They were all completely terrified of the whole thing. And Gerard and I, we'd never done 13 million bucks, but for 25 minutes, you can do anything. We were like, yeah, whatever, we'll do it. Take care of it, fine. So the whole pre-production was like, fight. That's why they hadn't picked the songs 11 months in, because they were too scared to commit. And so when it came to casting, I actually took notes.
Oh, no.
I kept a diary of the whole thing.
I love it.
And so I remember that, because I've never seen anything like it, because I didn't know who's going to come audition for this 25-minute thing, and I didn't know what they paid or anything. But anyone who could do anything, was like all of the musical theater lights of Los Angeles came to that audition. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, because I guess it's good money, and there isn't a lot of musical theater work in LA, so why not? So we saw great people. I looked at the casting notices and I saw all kinds of names that, now I know them. But here's the thing. You all came in. It wasn't a typical audition. You walked in, and at the beginning, before I got on my high horse, no one said a word. You were just directed to the pianist, sang, no one said a word. Then, it was just very rude. I'm very into, like, how do you take care of actors at an audition? I found it very rude. And so after a little bit of that, I finally thought, I've got nothing to lose. So I sat in the middle. I just, like the casting lady, who's an LA casting lady. I still remember her. Yeah. I just sat right down next to her. And it was very, you might say, pushy. And I took charge. And I insisted on standing up, which is what I'm used to, greeting the performer who is taking time out of their day,
Love
the
that.
privilege of auditioning, greeting them by name and introducing them to the pianist, and like just adding a little civilization to the process.
Thank you, Fred.
Well,
That's
I do
very
my
nice.
best. I'm sure it didn't change your life, but anything to make it a little less crude and rude. And we ended up with, as you know, was it 3 per character? Is that like tour book?
Yeah,
cast?
I think so.
So we ended up with, that's like, what's 15, I forget the cast, 21 people or 15 people.
Right.
And then we had auditions, and then we had another set of auditions. I forget what the sequence was. And then Lynn danced you all, and then, went on and on. You had quite a few auditions. And then finally the day came, casting day. Final callbacks, the whole trip, and I thought, finally, we're going to hire these people and get to work. And there we were that evening in a oak-lined mahogany, like a typical boardroom somewhere on the lot. All the resume pictures laid out on the table. I remember in particular there was Matt Ferrell, because he had like great credentials, and I thought, well, he's obviously, like everyone was obvious to me. Everyone was great. And we really had narrowed it down to the best of the best. And the quality was to the sky. It was you were all so great. We were so lucky to have you walk in the door. And they sat there staring at these resumes, and no one said a word. 20 people, 20 executives. And then the lead guy just started to vent his insecurity. Again, the fear driving this project is. So they didn't want to hire anyone. They were afraid to commit. And I was nearing the end of my run, so my patience was at a limit. And I finally had no what's to give. And somebody said something that was just so destructively idiotic that I just couldn't restrain myself anymore. I'm not making myself out to be the hero, but I was just done. And I stopped. I said something very sharp, and I wish I could remember what it was, but it wasn't nice. I said, "Excuse me, blah, blah, blah." I said something, and the room fell silent. And let me find it.
We're all on a pins and needles.
I
Fred.
know, it's good enough to find. Okay, there's all that.
He must go to the notes.
Oh boy.
Actors. Here we go. Very particular about actors. No page. No. If I don't find it, I can recite it from memory. So here's the gist. Oh, here it is. Here it is. I found my speech. You'll love it. And I wrote it down that night to remember, because I thought, okay, this has to go in the diary. And I said, I shut down the discussion with a sharp comment, which brought the room to a hush, and delivered my speech in a quiet but intentionally devastating way. I spoke for 20 minutes, and all I remember is the wrap up. I basically said, quote, "The faces you see on this table are the most accomplished, experienced, appropriate, and qualified performers you could ever hope to find, much less interest in a 25-minute theme park musical. So if you feel your cast's faces are not sitting on this table looking up at you, the problem's not them. It's you. If you can't, I said, and I closed it. If you can't walk out of here with your cast, out of this room with your cast, there's something wrong with your show and your entire concept and expectation. There was a long silence, and then we broke up, and I went back to the hotel. And next morning,
did you take a bow?
This would be the great.
Think about now.
This would be like if I ever filmed something. This would be, and I left, and I never knew what happened except that morning. I mean, the next morning, the cast had been hired, but they just they needed to be. I mean, I shouldn't bad language slapped around a little. They were just so fearful to commit, even though they obviously had the best people possible in LA for a 25-minute show.
Yeah, geez.
And once I saw it, and the compromises, because we had written a show that was so much better than the one. I mean, they threw out so much of what we had written, like in terms of the script, the plot, I mean, there was a whole book writer you never even met, and he's an award-winning Broadway playwright. And great ideas. The first time I read his script, we read it aloud. We were howling. We just thought it was going to be. None of it ended up in the show. And so what I said at the time, Jeff Zucker was at that time head of NBC Universal. It's a giant company. That's the NBC. It's Universal. And my sister actually did legal work for them at one time. And I said, next, I want to write to Jeff Zucker and tell him next time he wants to set fire to $13 million, I want him to give it to me and let me produce 4 off-Broadway musicals. Surely one of them is bound to be Little Shop of Horrors, and he can make billions of dollars. I was Andi and James in particular. I was going to tell you one of the reasons in the scripting conference, like I had a totally different idea for that giant monster at the end, but I really advised them very strongly not to have him eat the girl, because I said you have to understand.
So weird.
It was weird.
But it was freaking awesome.
It was
amazing.
I mean, yeah, it was cool looking and all that.
Oh my
It's
God.
But I
shocking.
also said there's this little thing called Little Shop of Horrors that everybody around the world knows, and the girl gets eaten. I was like, do you really want to do that and draw that? And here was my idea. It makes me laugh even now. The head guy, who shall remain nameless, his idea was that they would shoot a spear at the creature. And you can tell me if this actually happened in the show. A spear covered with Viagra. I kid you not.
Well, that happened, yeah.
That happened?
They called it growth hormone.
Yeah.
And so what happened is that the creature turned into this giant puppet, which was so fabulous.
Yeah, it was.
And then
Yes,
you had
it was
people.
amazing.
Did you do one of the arms, Keith?
I did. Yeah, Jay and I were in
people
the
on
back.
sticks doing the arms, right?
Oh my
Because he
gosh.
was so big. And I have to tell you guys, as far as Bill and Ted's, I went into that show afterwards, after this, with Sandra and with Mark, and the set stayed.
Oh, no kidding.
Everything that was around the proscenium stayed. They didn't know what to do with the creature. I think he was still on the stage through all of our rehearsals until they picked. We used the boat. We used the boat in the show, and we did a parody of that. I'm on a boat. I'm on a boat. I'm on a boat. Because the shit was still there in the theater, and they didn't know what else to do
with it. You can't move that
$3
million boat.
Yeah, $3 million boat.
So to be certain.
Here was my idea. I'll do it really quickly. Here was my idea for that big giant creature, because that was in the original, the first meeting a year and a half before. There's going to be a big giant creature at the end of the show, and I was like, okay. So here was my idea, that they would be tracking the monster, because there was this whole sequence, this chase sequence, and they were trying to find Kay and the monster, and they would discover, I forget exactly how I'd put it, but they were going to discover that the creature had brothers and sisters. He was only one of an entire nest of creatures.
Oh,
so that the rest of the cast,
open-ended.
So that would have been Keith, you'd all come out as creatures. And
oh my God.
And guess what? Big Mama shows up. The giant creature would be the mother of these sibling creatures.
Oh my God.
Nice.
And so the whole thing would be sort of an environmental story. She was just trying to protect her brood. And
I love that idea.
So it was going to be again, Miranda was the captain, was a woman. And then we see everything from Kay's point of view. And then it turns out to be a great big mama creature who's just trying to defend herself.
I love that.
Of course, that lasted about 10 minutes into the second meeting. But I still think it would have been
cool
funny.
if they had anything left over from the show in Cali and they could bring it to Florida for the Dark Universe world. What if they actually tried to revitalize something? Because I know everybody's been talking about, they missed the old Beetlejuice review show, which had some of those creatures, and I'm like, that would be amazing.
Well, another thing that was going on at the time that not many people realized is that Universal was also, I think it's dead now, but I'm not sure. At the time this was all going on, they were planning a remake of the film. So this was all going to be tied in.
Yeah, I think
Did you know about that, Tammy?
Yes, I had read about that online, which it would have been wonderful.
I had
Fascinating.
my fingers crossed that at the end
Yeah.
of the movie they were going to use that Black Lagoon song. The
And you
opening
know
number.
what? They totally missed
would've
out
been great.
because Shape of Water came out on a couple years ago and
Right.
swept at the Oscars.
Exactly.
And it was almost part musical because of the whole
Right.
Yeah.
theme. So,
And that beautiful
there's-
scoring. Yeah.
but there's so much more to talk about. This is our first group around. I'm so glad you guys came on the show. Before you leave, we always do a Kodak moment with the cast and crew. So everybody look at your camera. We're all going to smile on the count of 3. Ready? 3, 2, 1, smile. Perfect. Guys, thank you so you want to show what that is, James, before we
that's
sign
my
off?
little
Please
creature belt.
I'm gonna
hold on.
Oh,
solo. There we go.
Where did you
These are the
find
creatures.
were they selling that merch?
No, this was like I don't even know if Amazon existed at the time. I don't know where I found it, but I bought 4 of them and gave them to all the creatures.
That's cool.
Amazing. I love it. Well, thank you
Matt
guys so
better have
much
his
for your
own.
stories. Like, I know we're going to get some more in the second half, but, we're going to have to do this again because I know
And
there's more. Fred's
in
got
the chat,
more.
Send me your contact information. Send me the contact
Absolutely,
information,
Fred.
and I'll send
You
you all
send
kinds
us
of
all the
gold.
work you got, honey. You send us all that work. Love you.
Thank you so much, Tammy, for this. This is so much fun.
Thank you.
Thank
you
you,
guys.
My
We'll
Keith,
see you
my
in a little
James.
bit.
Bye. Thank you guys so
Bye,
much.
my dears. And we're going to show a little commercial that Andi had sent over. It's actually going to start Andi and Matt, who's going to be in the second half. So here is the commercial that aired to promote Creature at Universal.
Put down the putters. We're going to Universal.
Escape boredom with Universal Studios' new 6 months for $60 escape pass. Rock out at the all-new Creature Show, a hysterically twisted live spectacular. There's something new everywhere you look. 6 months for $60. It's family time, well spent.
6 months for $60. I'll take it. Let's go. Group number 2. Hello, creatures.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Matt's got the mask. Oh, welcome. So let me have you all introduce yourself. We'll go around our little Brady Bunch squares. So Miss Rose, would you like to start and tell us who you are and what role you played?
Yes, hello. I'm Orgena Rose, and yes, I played the captain of the ship. I played Maria, so that was a lot of fun.
Hey.
Matt, you want to go next?
Yeah, hey, I'm Matt Ferrell, and I was one of the creatures. Creech.
And next up, Paul.
Hey, I'm Paul Rubin, and I'm the flying choreographer. But for this show, I was the swimming choreographer. Ooh.
I think it's me. Hey, I'm Sachin. I was Man 1? Ensemble? I don't know. Chorus boy? Up 2?
I love it. You were a brilliant chorus boy, Sachin. Hi, I am Sandra. Nice to see you guys. So nice to see everybody. Oh, sorry, I was Kay.
There you go.
I was Kay. Yes. So what was that? Like ingenue, whatever.
So let's talk about how all of you got involved with the show. So did you guys, obviously you heard about the casting call. So what was that audition process like for you and then finally getting the role? How were you excited? Were you like, what's this gonna be?
I mean, it saved my ass. Sandy was my agent essentially. So like any singing dance job I got in LA the first few years was Sandy sending me stuff. So that's how I got it.
I do remember that. Yeah. I was like, Sachin, you have to do this. You have to come in. And then I told everybody about him. Of course, he was perfect for it. So you were perfect for Man 1.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I saw it in backstage. I mean, when it was still a paper, I think, and just thought they were looking for rock singing people. And that's what my career had been. So I thought, let me go. And I had just moved to LA. So for me, this was super dreamy. You know what I mean? At the time. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty similar. I had just moved to LA not long before, and my agent actually put me up for this. And I thought, okay, Universal Studios theme park. Hadn't done that before. Let's give it a go. Let's see what it's going to be. And then it was like Creature. I'm like, wait a minute. Really? They're going to make it a musical? How is that going to work? But I was up for it, and it was a lot of fun. Really, really enjoyed it.
I did a show with Broadway Asia, who had produced the Creature from Black Lagoon, but I did SpongeBob SquarePants with them. Not the Broadway production, but there was this lost episode called The Sponge Who Can Fly. Funny enough, it was underwater, so he thought he could fly, but he was just really swimming with the jellyfish. And one of the lead producers said, "Hey, you did a great job with a swimming effect here. How would you like to create a swimming effect for Creature from the Black Lagoon?" And I'm like, "Really? That's a show?" He said, "No, it's not a show. It's a musical." I'm like, "Oh, even better. Where do I sign?" And the rest is history.
Yeah, and James was talking about earlier about that crazy flying kind of callback audition that we had, where we were up there singing our kind of audition song. And I really lucked out because I was singing Double Vision by Foreigner. So it had these kind of breaks. So I could like do the flip when I wasn't singing. So I think it's, audition song choice, kids, really can land.
I was actually looking for some video clips to send to Tammy, and I came across that video because we did that offsite at some random studio.
Yeah, it was crazy,
and it was a manual system to travel, but it was motorized lift and a rotate. So we would have to swim across, and I would say, "Okay, rotate," and then everybody would turn around and then swim in the opposite direction. It was bizarre.
I don't actually remember this, you guys. I don't remember.
Oh,
did
you were there? I have video proof you were there.
That's hilarious.
Please burn it. I really don't remember the flying. I do remember going in and just singing. I remember always remember that part, but I don't remember the flying. So you have the proof. Okay.
Are we gonna watch those auditions?
I don't have them.
I didn't send them because I wasn't sure if Matt or Sandy wanted me to show them.
I want to see it.
I totally want to see it. I think I'll just laugh all the way through it.
Paul, if you have them and you want to send them over, I could try to play them by the end of the show if you want to. If you want to attempt to.
Scared.
I can stall for you if you'd like.
Sandy, is that all right with you?
Yeah, totally. I mean, hey, whoever's watching this, I'm going to put out a disclaimer. I mean, yes, was this like, how many years ago was this? And I don't know.
15?
I'm scared to see kind of what was going on, but yeah, let's do it. I'm good.
Awesome. Well, while Paul's looking for the videos, Matt, again, he sent over some behind the scenes photos. So I thought I'd show them and then you guys could kind of tell stories about what in the world's happening in these photos. I didn't use all of them as per Matt. But here are a few. I'm going to put this on the big screen so we can see them. So it looks like you guys are enjoying some phone calls and hanging out. So I guess
we're on a break.
This process of you were having fun, I guess.
This was during the initial rehearsals, like when we were the workshop production, So we were, it was the honeymoon period,
This looks like a break from rehearsal, and then those are a couple of cast members that couldn't be with us, Chad Boardman and Ray Garcia, yeah. And I think that looks like the back of Marie. And
that is the back, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just us on a rehearsal break. Not super exciting, but cute.
Yeah, Chad and Ray.
Oh, I just want you all to know I can still do those splits.
Hey,
proud of myself.
Of course you can.
I'm afraid to know how you know this and what you practiced.
At the gym. I'm still dancing, y'all, people. So yes,
of course.
Yes, I just think that's hilarious. Oh my gosh, what a great shot!
Amazing.
Oh, nice.
Ooh. This one's for Paul. He's got his little name up there, and I guess is that like a test? Is that a test creature hanging from the ceiling? Or
yeah.
Oh yes. Okay. So I had this action figure of the creature, and I called him Gil because what else would you call him? And I used to bring those action figures with me when I'd work with a programmer. And I would put the creature or the figure in a position so I could show the programmer, okay, so I want the person to go up, rotate, lay out flat. These are the body positions I'm looking for. And then they would program into that. So they would program all of the sequences by using that action figure. So I used to hang that figure at the bottom of a sandbag so he knew what direction the creature was actually facing, or the person, the performer. But I had sent you a picture of that creature on the back lot of Universal Studios because the assistant technical director told me that creature was filmed on the back lot of where we were actually rehearsing. Wow. So on one afternoon off from flying, she took me in a golf cart. She drove me to the swamp, and I put the creature right at the edge of the swamp. That's it right there.
Yeah.
So that's actually the Black Lagoon from the movie, and I had my creature Gil walking out of it.
That's so cool.
Nice.
That's cool.
And
there you are playing Kay.
Yeah.
Right. Oh no, I was Sandy's stunt double. I actually had to do everything before I let her do it.
Oh wow, yeah. Just to
make
that's
sure
always good.
safe.
Safety first.
Yes.
Oh, Paul, looking at that picture now, and now I'm remembering that he swallowed me, right? I went through there.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you slid down head first.
And you went
down this curving slide into a crash pad.
That was so much fun.
I know. That's why I didn't mind doing it first.
I love it.
Did you have anybody ever film you do that part?
I think so. It's probably going to be here somewhere.
Like backstage. I was just curious because like that just seems like, again, so much fun. It'd just be fun to see what it looks like from behind the set.
That was like a crazy core workout for you guys, right?
Yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah.
It was.
We'll talk about crazy core work. I had Sandy do the most bizarre. Okay, so I choreographed this simulated, synchronized swimming sequence. And not only did she have to sing in the air, but she was wearing dance shoes or character shoes, singing upside down, swimming backwards.
Yeah,
and
that was
she
a
did
workout.
It flawlessly.
Thank you. Oh, you're so sweet. That was a workout though. But the funny thing you just reminded me, we always wondered if I'm swimming in the water, why am I actually wearing shoes?
Never understood that.
We never got that.
It's the 40s, yeah, you know.
Everybody did. That's what everyone did.
You just wore shoes.
Yes.
Swim in your heels, of course, darling.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
There it is.
You're right.
Yeah, that was one of the first rehearsals. We were teaching you how to somersault.
Oh my goodness.
Fun.
Good Lord. That as you said, it must be a crazy workout for the body because like you're just being able to go up in the air and do all these acrobats. Do you have to like prepare? Do you do any training or any additional exercises before each show just to make sure that your body is ready?
Actually, for me, I'm just gonna say I'm already a dancer, so I think I came into this a little lucky, understanding my body and understanding how to sort of sustain myself, maybe because yes, like Paul was saying, he had me looking like I was swimming, so I had to kind of achieve that by really keeping my core strength up. So yeah, I would, oh my gosh, yes, gym, sit-ups, whatever I could do just to keep that strength up.
Jeez.
Yeah. And for me, I started all my days with this Budokan workout, which is like martial arts, yoga kind of thing. Yeah. But because it was a lot on the body, and wearing the costume itself was like super heavy. The feet were like 35 pounds. And then we also had the harness on. So, I mean, you were in just like a crazy costume, it was like Predator.
I sent Tammy a picture of you on break in the green room, Matt, because you couldn't get out of your costume, but you needed, I think we took a 10. And there you are. There you are.
Yeah, you were
Yes,
stuck.
Matt.
And it might have been the day we did the commercial, that Universal commercial, because I was in that for about 8 hours with it never coming off. And it was brutal. It was brutal. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Jeez.
That's crazy.
You hear horror stories of costumes and you're like, oh, this is something I don't want to do. So how long, Matt, you would do 3 shows? It sounds like from the previous group that you guys would do 3 shows and then you take out the outfit. So were you in it for over 8 hours?
I mean,
okay.
I mean, we'd strip down to a level. I mean, there were multiple levels to that. There was a bodysuit, and then there was a muscle suit, and then there was another suit, and then there was the, the harness, and the boots had their own thing. I mean, and those were like platform boots as well. So it was quite a thing. So it would you'd kind of strip down to a certain level, but no, I'd stay in the costume pretty much the whole day, at least from, below, because taking the shoes off was a whole process. It was laces and then Velcro and then other stuff I don't even remember, but all the costumes, and also Sandy's I remember because it was such an intricate process with those, and there was a series of snaps that were always an issue, and there was just, the costumes were pretty intricate. So, but we had a great team, but it was tough when people were gone and they didn't have the same amount, especially with those costumes. And also, we were flying in them. So, it was, there was an added level of, you wanted people to, but, I don't know. I can't speak for Sandy, but I had a great experience with the flying. I mean, we did hang there during shows, but for me, it was kind of a dream because as a guy like me, a big guy, you don't get to be Peter Pan, so it was great to be able to fly for me. And I'll always cherish that experience with Paul as well, and with Sandy. And just,
yes, I agree.
Sandy, do you remember when you got stuck in the air?
Oh my God. Okay, when you said getting stuck in the air, something happened, it malfunctioned, and I remember getting stuck in the air, and the announcement went on. It's like in front of a live audience, you get stuck. Well, you're gonna have to go with
previews. We were still previewing.
I remember getting stuck when there were people there.
Yeah, they got stuck all the time.
There were like many shows.
Oh yeah, the show
went awry,
and we all had to get out of the boat, out of the big boat.
Yeah.
It was a constant issue, Paul. Yeah. Oh yeah, it constantly was. Well, it was tough.
And never happened.
Generally,
never happened, Matt. Never happened.
Generally, I think we had better luck because I know we did kind of more of the morning shifts. And I feel like sometimes we had better luck than the afternoon crew that would come in with shows, So, but there was, frequent stops. And I mean, everybody, and Andi was telling a story about Katrina's harness, like being sideways once, and them lifting her up kind of like sideways. And then she just hung there forever and ever. So, it was that set was crazy for what it, for what it was.
Yeah, really, it was a lot. I think this was a big undertaking, and I think, Paul, you did an amazing job. And I just wanted to say, piggyback on Matt, what you were saying, it was a great experience. I had such a great time learning how to do all that for the first time. Not only was it amazing, but it was just one of those things that you kind of just tuck in the back of your little talent backpack in case you need to pull it out for later jobs. So that helps me in the future. It was great. Yeah.
Well, one of the benefits that I had was that the two of you were so willing to do anything that I threw at you. Like when you were doing the synchronized flipping, and then when since Jaws was one of my favorite movies, when we did that little picture at the very end where you're swimming across and he comes up and he pulls your leg, pulls down, and then you swim up to the boat. That was my homage to Jaws.
That was so cool. By the way, James, past creature who was on the show for group number 1, says you had to wear a muscle suit, Matt.
I did. I love you, Creage.
Hey, James, be careful. I just found your rehearsal video.
Oh
yeah. No, I'm sorry, not rehearsal. Your audition video. The audition video.
Even better.
Ooh, audition videos. Well, I have a little clip of Kay's demise. I can't even talk today. Kay's demise. Because I thought that this was the craziest part of the show when I first saw it. Because I was like, "What's happening? She's dead." So, but this is interesting. Whoever filmed this got a real good close up. I think this is you, Sandra. So you can see you unhook yourself and you're trying to position yourself to get into the mouth. This is cool. Okay, so let's take a look at Kay's demise.
I'm sorry, David. He needs me, and I need him. It's not natural. It is amor, senor, and that makes it supernatural. I got a strange new hunger deep Oh God, no, Kay.
I love it.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
I remember the meetings of, okay, so how do we get Kay from the boat to the mouth? How do we do that? And it was this Deus Ex Machina contraption that just came out of the sky, scooped you up, and put you in the mouth.
Yeah.
I was moving the arm.
Crazy.
Just so you know.
Yes.
With a pole.
Yes.
So you have puppeteer on your resume now too?
I do, yeah.
Well, originally we were
Oh
going
my
to just
God.
have the hand come and scoop you up, and you would just be on wires and then take you over to the mouth. But we couldn't safely unhook you and have you slide down to make that transition from the hand to the mouth. So we had to have you come off of a contraption.
Oh my
Was that you, Matt, singing?
Yeah.
That was you? Michelle says,
Yeah.
sing it, Matt, sing it.
Yeah, he was rocking it. Amazing voice.
Yeah, that was fun. I mean, that was a crazy show to sing with all of that stuff. And as I would come in from Long Beach every day, it was like, 45 minutes to an hour usually. So I just would do that warm up the whole time in there. But we sang a lot in that little show. For 25 minutes, they got their vocal money's worth, I think.
They really did.
Oh, yeah.
Every number was big,
It was.
really big.
And like at the top of your range, really belting it out. In the Black Lagoon, I remember just really belting that crazy in the opening of the show. So much fun, though. Really awesome.
That's what I sing sometimes. Like sometimes I'll just go Black Lagoon wherever I am. It's gets stuck in your head. It's so funny. It's so funny because my dad has they have a film festival they do where they actually show 16 millimeter footage. And I believe they showed a 16 millimeter 3D footage of the original Creature of the Black Lagoon, which I had never seen before. And I saw the musical first. So I had told the guys after we watched the movie, I really enjoyed the movie. I said, did you know it has a musical? And they're like, what? So I actually sang the opening number for them. I was like, the Black Lagoon. And they were laughing so hard. I said, you guys have to check this out. So I think they did and they liked it. But it was just so funny to pass along something like that because you would never think they would do something like this. Something like this would never be done again. I don't think, you know what I mean? It's no shows. I love the theater shows. I love the theme park shows. And thank God you got an air conditioned theater because I was just thinking like the other shows that had the acrobatics in the air, like Tarzan Rocks were all outside. So I was like, that's probably the only benefit Matt, you and the creatures got was you were in air conditioned space, right?
Yeah.
With all the layers.
That was good. Yeah. And we had there, and I don't know when it was, Sandy, do you remember? It was when Julie Adams, who played in the film, came to the show.
Yeah. Actually, I'm sorry, Tammy, I found that picture today. I've been looking for that picture all week. And I found it, and right before I came on, I posted it to my Instagram and to my Facebook. And Matt, you're in it. I think Julie's with us too. So yeah, she came. Wasn't it opening that she was there?
It might have been opening, but it was great. We got to, take photos with her and stuff and speak with her. And
she was lovely.
I have a little bit of an interview with her from that day. You ready?
Ooh,
Here we go.
Yeah. Particularly exciting for us today here at Universal Studios Hollywood is to have the star of Creature from the Black Lagoon, Julie Adams, who was the original Kay at the 1954 classic, joining us here on stage. And she was here in the audience today and had a great time with our cast. It was wonderful to have her back.
This movie has entertained so many people, and now it's continuing here at Dear Universal, where it all started.
Creature who will slay me. Yeah. Slay me, you can slay me. Crazy, drive me crazy.
I think it's wonderful. You know, it's another evolution, another addition to creature fables.
I'm
And that lyric, Sandy, remember after like July 4th, we had to change the lyric. The lyric used to be I'm hung, I'm hungry. We had to just say I'm hungry.
I remember that.
Was too risque or something.
We had to clean it up. Yeah, because it was pretty raunchy. And they did kind of make it because originally it was supposed to be PG-13, but then nobody cared and everybody came. And so they then tried to like change it all up. And the creature actually didn't have lines at the beginning. And then all of a sudden,
That's right.
he had lines one day, which was far into the process. But like in the workshop, never had lines. He just sang, which was kind of fun. Anyway. It was crazy.
And how did you guys get the voice for him? Was it they wanted to kind of go for like a surfer dude sound after you were, or did you try?
The rock. Well, they wanted a rock sound. I mean, they just wanted him to be kind of sound gruff and rocky. So, and we worked with a lot of different people. You know, musically, Mike Ferrell, Ron Colvard. I don't know who else was there working with us, but it was that was the thing. The team was incredible. That was put together for the show. So it was that was super fun. Especially I had just moved from New York, so to work with all these New Yorkers as well, kind of in LA was fun, and then get to see these LA. I remember I just seen James Royce do Pippin, and his performance was amazing. I remember it was at the audition. I was like, oh my God, he's amazing. Like, so it was great to share that whole thing with him after that. But like they were saying, like Fred was saying earlier, I mean, it was a really great, everybody that did musical theater in LA came out for that show that year, and it was just kind of like,
I think Julia Flores did an amazing job casting that show.
Yes.
She put together an A-list team. She did.
I think, like Matt was saying, all the way around, all of creative, amazing people to work with, very, very talented. They did a great job, I think, as far as like getting talent, getting creative, getting all the stuff that had to go into this. I mean, it was a lot. It's a lot. It was a lot.
Yeah. And they put it together really, really beautifully.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
What are some of your favorite bloopers that have happened on stage besides the boat and you guys stopping in the air? What other things have happened where you had to kind of, make something up and just keep going? Lines missed, things like that. Anything stick out to you?
You know what? For me, I always had at the very end when Kay had to look like the creature had ripped her clothes off. I think I went into must have been 3 different incantations of what that costume was going to look like. So every time I see it, it's just a different. It's like okay, that's not what I was wearing before. It's like I could just see every single time. It's like they just kept trying to change it and make it look more ripped or more but not too sexy. But just more like ripped. And I just remember thinking, I'm trying to keep my costume on. Matt, what was that grotto song we had to sing? And I'm in the grotto and my costume.
Yeah, Strange New Hunger. Yeah.
Yes, and I was trying to keep half my costume on. And like I said, they had ripped the shorts, and I was like, but they said, don't be too risque, don't be too sexy.
Yeah, we ended up in the big like clam bed. Yeah, like spooning.
That's right. I forgot about that.
The creature would like make a cocktail. I mean,
it's so weird. Like, did it feel weird to do that scene? Because it's just
again
weird watching it again.
it started off as when we did it in the workshop, everything was mimed, and the creature was like, you know, I mean, he never really did this. And then the first line the creature came out with when they added the book, which I really think was like July 4th weekend. And the first line was, "What's your sign?" So you know, going from doing this show where like he never had lines before, it was kind of weird. So I ended up kind of doing this, you know, "So what's your sign?" We kind of did this like weird, almost, I don't know, against the type, because I couldn't do the same kind of like, you know, so he couldn't be Quasimodo, you know, kind of character. So it changed that. So that's why it was kind of weird, because it was created with no lines, like the whole scene of his seducing her. But then when they added lines, it didn't have, you know, it never had the same, I don't think the same like kind of fun that it did, because it became it just got too literal, and they kept changing it so much that it just felt, eventually it kind of like washed away a little bit. Yeah. But I think the original like stuff was super funny. I mean, it was a little bit over, you know, it was absolutely over the top, but I think with hiring, you know, Gerard and Fred, that's what it is. It's going to be a campy musical theater kind of experience. And I think we delivered it.
Yeah, it was certainly campy. It was campy, especially on my part, for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was Rocky Horror meets Little Shop meets Hair meets, you know,
meets Reefer Madness.
Finding Nemo.
Like,
yeah.
All of those, because that was the thing when they finally came out, because we were just talking about Del Toro doing the movie about Creature, almost his own movie. I was like, I don't think I felt this uncomfortable with a woman falling in love with a fish since I've watched this musical. You know, so it's just like really strange. It's so weird, but like not in a bad way, just really weird. That's all.
Well, thanks to this show, every holiday or something, Matt and I send text messages with the worst fish puns, the worst ones you can ever come up with, and they're hysterical. But they're
I'm loyal, Paul. I'm loyal.
You are through and through.
Yeah, they usually say "slay me" too. Something with slay, some
me.
sort of slay.
Or you've caught to be kidding me, please.
Yes.
Did you ever have like any kids that really wanted to meet you and you came out on stage to meet them? Because I'm sure the kids were like, "Wow, what a like the creature! I want to meet the creature." You know, like any of that ever happen?
I don't think we ever did a show. There might have been a time where they did do meet and greets, and I feel like some other creatures would come in, maybe, but that could be like something that I'm making up. But there was times where we would do shows and James would do something else. There was one time, and I don't know, they had the creature like escaping from a cage, and James would have to speak on that. I don't know if it was for the commercial, but it might have just been for like a publicity thing.
Yes, when they opened it up, there actually is a clip, and he came out, and then they ran back in with him in the theater.
And I'm pretty sure that was James. I was in that commercial and sitting in the tram, which it was a terribly hot day that day. But yeah, there was some sort of thing, and then he'd like chase people around, and I mean, kids loved it. You know, obviously, kids loved that kind of stuff. But I don't know if that was a regular thing. I don't really remember.
Did they ever say that they were going to record some of the songs and release like a little album of the show? Because I know they've done that with some other shows and things like that for theme parks. I was just curious if they ever were like, "Let's go to a recording studio." And
we did. We actually did. Didn't we record? I thought we did. I feel like I recorded mine.
Yeah, we might have recorded our parts at one point.
No, but it should have been, because Fred and Gerard, they just, it was the most amazing soundtrack. It one after the other. Actually, there's Strange New Hugger is an alarm on my phone, because I wake up to that.
That's crazy.
Nice.
No, not crazy. Sad. It's sad.
I feel it. I feel a Strange New Hunger. Oh,
so
Mark
here's
Oka.
some more photos.
Mark. One of our other cast members, Mark Oka. I can't tell.
He's playing Kay.
And then the other one is Jimmy Klavitz, I think, you guys. Jimmy and Marie.
I don't see. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy.
And that you guys, I guess you're testing out, you know, how the creature's going to hold on to this darn boat. during that last scene.
Yeah, he shook the boat, right? I don't remember. He did something to the boat, but
yeah, he shook it.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Matt, where were the creatures at during that part? Because you guys are singing. Are you off stage helping to move the mouse or move the mouse?
No, I was off stage left. I was just off stage left with the mic. It was a kind of a good moment because I could like robe a little bit, and it was less. And it was, I just kind of made like Scooby-Doo noises, like a lot, it was like, because again, there were no, I don't remember if there were lines, but yeah. And the stage manager was always there, and I'd always like perform it to the stage manager. Yeah, Linda Tross or somebody. But,
Linda.
Yeah.
That's a great shot of you, Matt, on the left, right? That's really great. Like, look at
that's
that
like
costume.
That's my Olin Mills. Yeah.
Olin Mills.
But that puppet
Matt,
was
you
amazing.
just dated yourself.
Yeah, I know. And the costume was amazing. And at one point, we were going to go to Michael Curry's studio, which I think was in Vancouver, but that didn't end up happening. But there was a lot of fittings for this. And I would have to act out. The executive types would come in and be like, show fear, show anger, and I'd be like, I don't know what I did. But yeah, there was a lot of fittings for that thing. But it was a beautiful costume.
No, I actually went to Michael Curry's studio and we played around with the outfit, and there was a lot of animatronic and computerized stuff, like with your head and the gills that came up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like just outside of Portland, I think. It was in Oregon somewhere.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lynn.
And what is she dressed as? Is she just a...
She was probably cold.
That's what I wore. With holding
the arm costume.
You have the little cloak.
Yeah.
So we'd blend in.
Oh.
Okay, what is happening on the left? Are taking a nap?
Okay, so that's Chad Borden, and he was one of our cast members. I think I was tired, obviously, by looking at that. But I do remember just with the show in general, when you're putting up a show just in general in life, you're going through lots of rehearsals, you're not sleeping much, you're eating when you can. And I think that was actually, didn't we do something close to like a 10 to 12? In the theater world, we call it 10 out of 12s.
Yeah.
Because I think that was a nighttime rehearsal by the looks of it. And I must have been I was probably just so.
Because you guys were the workshop cast, because there were like 4 different casts.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys talked about that in the last.
No, we did. No, we didn't. Sach, why don't you touch on that?
Yeah.
Well,
so
people
there
don't know
was
what
like,
that is.
Sandy and Matt were in the workshop cast, and so they'd figure out what's happening, and then the other 3 casts would learn it. And then some days 2 casts would be performing at the same time and overlap or something. And then some days you'd be there, the show didn't work, so you just hung out for hours.
Right.
That's
still getting paid, right?
Still getting paid. It was great.
That's good.
I remember creating the
thought
swimming
there were just
sequences
2
for
casts.
both Matt and Sandy. So we did the whole thing with just the 2 of them. So they were in the harness like hours upon hours.
Oh,
yeah.
geez.
And Paul, you introduced me to, I'll never forget that night after that audition, you said, listen, do you know what Epsom salts are? You were like, go get yourself some Epsom salts and take a bath. You'll thank me. And I did. And I'm an Epsom fan. So you turned me on to that.
Paul,
day.
you turned me on to that too. I think you said the exact same thing to me. I do remember that. My body was really hurting. So maybe in that left picture, my body was just, I think I was done. Yeah.
I guess I should have bought some stock in that company then, huh?
Did you guys get to keep anything from the set or costumes or anything that they were like, we're not going to have the show any longer? Because it only ran, I think, until March of the next year. But there was like apparently a fire that happened at some point.
It was just September, and they kept talking about possibly extending it, but it never did.
So how long did we work? How long was it up?
2 months.
4 months.
October. Yeah, it was.
It opened July 1st.
Including rehearsal, though?
Yeah, we started like in May, because I remember getting hired around March sometime.
March,
yeah. Yeah, same.
And we started.
I remember closing down for the Halloween show, and then they were going to open up right after Christmas.
Right. And
then after Christmas, nothing. And then, they're going to do an Easter show, or they're going to do this. And then we're going to open up after that. And then I think 2 years later, I'm like, all right, I don't think it's.
And they use that creature for every show after. It was in
Where
that
is he
theater.
now? Where is he now is the question, right? I'm
Probably in a warehouse.
I know the fly system was still there the last time I was at Hollywood Universal because they were doing some type of show. It was really weird. And one of the guys gets thrown off the stage, and then he does Kay's track that goes over the audience. So that is still there. So he did it as an astronaut. I don't know. I forget what it was.
Wait,
so
no,
that
was Spider-Man Rocks. Wasn't that Spider-Man Rocks?
Yes, that was
And
the next thing after.
The Goblin was on that track, and he went over the audience in that track. I
So
think
they
it was
kept
Spider-Man. They kept it,
Wait,
and they used it. Yeah.
Wait, Spider-Man Rocks was after our show?
I thought so.
Yes.
Was it not?
I remember that. Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't.
I can't remember.
Mine was just a special effects show that I saw.
Special
That was
effects, though. That they used the creature for that for years.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I don't remember the creature. I just remembered this guy going on the fly system. And then when I saw the video of you doing it as Kay, I was like, oh wait, that's the same fly system. It's the same theater. Like I didn't know I was in that theater. Because I'd never been there before. So that was pretty cool. So at least I think it's still there. I'll have to find out next time I go.
Well, the track patterns were designed for Kay and Gil. For that swimming sequence. Just so they can do that simulated part on the stage and then have Kay's track so she can swim over the audience. So that pattern was designed for this particular show. And then I guess they're just using it for everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, well, it's here. We might as well use it.
With a lot of money.
What is the one thing you take away from this whole entire musical project? Because I think a lot of people scratch their heads when they hear of it or see it. I think I love camp, so I think it's very fun and campy, and that's what I think we need more of in our lives. But what do you guys take away of the entire process?
I take away the fact that I can actually say I worked on Creature from the Black Lagoon, the musical. That's what I'm proud to be able to say I did that. That's what I take away.
I love camp, and I'm always doing camp and TV now, anytime I can. So, yeah, I'm always here for it. Anything to like make a fool of myself, I really enjoy it.
You know what? I think for me, I take away from this. I thought it was a really ambitious project, and I think I honestly think they did a wonderful job. Like I said, the creative team was great. So to work on something this ambitious and really be able to make it kind of happen, I think that's kind of cool. It's, because we're all creatives, right? So we love the creative process. So every time I get into a show, for me, it's always about the process. It's always about how creative can I get with this, and just in my own little part, of course, being Kay, I just had to sort of be this actress and this campy actress, but while all the really cool stuff was happening around me with like Paul and his flying, and then this ginormous creature prop thing that they spent bajillion dollars on that's behind me, and then being swallowed, and then this boat and how they made the boat. I mean, all that is cool. I think that's really awesome that you can actually bring that stuff to life. And I also thought it was brilliant too that they made us to simulate the swimming in the water was in the air. I just thought it was genius. It was kind of cool. It's cool to be able to do it, and it's cool to be able to see that too, I thought.
Yeah, and there's I loved that sequence, and I've looked at some photos of that sequence, and it's pretty stunning. There's some pretty cool shots from that, and I love the little heart bubbles. That was so cute.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's right, Zach, the production designer. He did an incredible job with those projections.
Yeah,
it all looked pretty cool. I wish I could have seen it in person. And apparently Keith said the theater is gone. It has been torn down.
Oh,
so
what?
Maybe Harry Potter's there. I think they put Harry Potter there, right?
Yeah, I think that was their newest amazing thing. I can't believe they've taken that out. I thought it was actually a pretty amazing project as well, quite ambitious. But I thought, again, the creative team came together in such a great way to create something pretty amazing. I think the songs, some of them were really pretty awesome. I enjoyed my character's song, that Black Lagoon opening song was, I thought, pretty powerful.
Yeah.
I loved being kind of this captain of this ship, this voodoo queen, you know, this very powerful woman who, you know, owned the ship, you know, which all of those things are unusual, right? So I thought that was pretty amazing to be able to play that kind of a character and be really kind of powerful and feisty and a bit of a leader. So I thought it was amazing. And the rest of the cast being able to work together, I just thought it was really, really fantastic. So,
and all the cast would like intertwine, schedules change. We got to work with everyone.
Exactly.
That's great.
Yeah. That's also fun because you get a different dynamic, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kept you on your toes.
Well, thank you guys so much for sharing your stories and your photos and videos, and thanks to Group One as well too. Before we end, we should also get a photo. So let's do our Kodak moment. Everybody, take a look at your camera on the count of 3. 3, 2, 1. Smile. Perfect. Thank you guys so much for watching. And we've had a couple people been watching in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. If you're interested in seeing more interviews and fun reunions like this, please subscribe to my channel and share this conversation with us. I think most of us are on social media. You'll be able to find some of us, and we'll have to find Sandra's picture with the original K. I can't wait to see that too. It was cool to see the video footage, but I want to see the photo.
Yeah, I can get that too.
That'd be great. And you could follow me on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook, find out more at my website, tammytuckey.com. Thank you guys again. This has been so much fun. I am so grateful for you guys being here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank
and
you.
putting all of
Thank
this
you. Love
together.
you guys.
Thank you, Tammy.
And see you all very soon. Remember, beware of the Black Lagoon.